We have come a long way, moving through both the Jak and Daxter games and ending the trilogy with Jak III, which will be the conclusion of this retrospective. And I'm actually kind of expecting a lot from this game, story-wise at least. The back of the box explains that it's going to have a great conclusion, telling us about who Mar was and who the precursors really are. So I'm really interested in what this game is going to bring to us. So you know what? Let's stop messing around and hop right in. That's Jak II. That's not Jak III. I'll be right back. Well, here we are, I'm back again. I bought myself a second copy of Jak III, and this one actually has Jak III in it, thankfully. So, without further ado, let's start playing the game. Jak III starts off a little more than a year after the end of Jak II, and after the fall of Baron Praxis, his daughter has taken over and changed the Crimson Guard into the Freedom League. Really? That has to be the worst name ever. This new Freedom League was headed by many of the old rebels and are trying to take the city back from the metalheads still attacking and the newly formed KG Deathbots being headed by an unknown enemy. But after a few mishaps, including the complete destruction of Haven Palace, a member of the Freedom League decided to kick Jak out of the city, which is voted by the rest of the council to happen. That doesn't sound much like freedom to me. So Jak is left out in the wasteland to die, but is eventually picked up by a group of nomads from a wasteland city called Spargus. And this is where our story really starts. AKA, when I can finally start doing things with the controller. We learn that in this city to not be cast out, we need to prove our worth in the arena battles. And as you know from my Ratchet review, I love me some arena fights. But sadly, Jak III's arena fights are nothing compared to the Ratchet ones. But hey, at least they tried. After proving our worth, we can leave the arena and holy moly, it's beautiful! I can see! Everything isn't black. Yeah, it's all a poop brown, but geez, is that so much better than brooding black. I like it. I think this desert town is great. It has a cool atmosphere, and it's a good change up from Haven City, giving us wheeled vehicles that control much better than the hover junk of Jak II. Yeah, they are a bit weird on the turns, but they do work really well, and these cute birds are just the best to ride around on in town. Plus, since there are no guards to run into or other cars to hit, I can actually get around without causing a huge problem. So we race a race and get ourselves our very own car to go out adventuring in. And I have to say, this is awesome. Being able to take a drive out in the open desert, yeah, there isn't much to explore out here, but it's plenty of more adventuring than Jak II had just in this small area. But after a few small expeditions, we hear about a star in the sky that's going to be the doom of our planet, and we must stop it at all costs. So we head to the arena once more for some more help, and after winning, the king of the city seems to be acting weird. I swear, if they pull the whole Jak, I'm your father thing, I'm gonna be kinda pissed. Right after this, we learn the monk has lost some of his friends in a temple he asked them to check out. So being the nice dudes we are, we head right out there to save them and learn that they have flown somewhere else. We continue to follow them and eventually reach a precursor statue that gives us the power of light. Even though from my understanding it doesn't really do anything. So yay for worthless powers. But shortly after, we come back here again and gain the ability to slow down time with our light powers, which I think is pretty cool. It's only used a few times throughout the game though, and unless you're using it in fights, it's kinda pointless. You do get more powers later on that I really did enjoy though, like shields and the ability to fly. But what I thought was the coolest part was that right after this, guess where we go? Back to Haven City. And to tell you the truth, I think Haven City is a lot better in this game. There's less traffic to deal with, no annoying guards, it's not as dark, and the city has different looks to it, including the destroyed part of town, the dark dingy docks, the metalhead infested crop area, and the... wait, is this the slums? Wow! Did they ever improve the slums? I love it that they took the slums and upgraded this much in like a year and made it the Freedom Legion's headquarters. Sadly though, till you can blow up a few barriers and make your way through the city with a couple missions, you're stuck in the dock area, but eventually we do help the Freedom Legion's two groups get back together. Another thing I want to mention is, remember all the cool areas outside of Haven City? Yeah, they're all gone. Except for the coolest area being Haven Forest, so at least we get that, thankfully. Another feature I liked was that you can go back and forth between the wasteland and the city anytime you please. Meaning if you're trying to 100% the game, miss something, or just want to explore, it makes doing that so much easier for you. Plus, it really adds a lot more depth to the game. Though after entering Haven City, there isn't many missions in the desert, and I kind of felt like there was a huge chunk of the desert that went unexplored and unused, which is a big downer. It seems like, again, the main part of the game is just spent in Haven City. Back to the story though, we learn that Viger was the one who blew up the Haven Palace in order to reach the catacombs, and shortly after, the council decides to kick him out of the Freedom League. Now I just wonder why they didn't do this sooner. After that, we have a game of Pac-Man to hack into a system, learn that the star in the sky is evil precursors coming to destroy the world, but before we can do anything about that, we have to stop the death robots from attacking, so we head to the sky to take out the floating factory. And surprisingly, this random flying part of the game plays really well and controls great. I had a lot of fun with it. I would have really enjoyed fighting a boss in this thing or more missions in this ship, but from what I've heard, The Lost Frontier has more missions like this, so maybe I'll check that out another time. But for now, let's continue with Jak III. After infiltrating the base, we learn that... oh geez. What happened to your face, dude? Oh yeah, I blew it up. Sorry. Yep, the main antagonist of the game turns out to be Errol. Yeah, the mean, douchey Crimson Guard guy from the first game that we blew up. Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed at this. I would have loved Count Dooku over here to be a main villain, but I guess I also understand he's not a villain. He just wants all Dark Eco off the planet, including us. Errol, on the other hand, just wants to destroy everything and control the greatest power in the universe. But I think he's just kind of a one-sided villain. Plus, who put him back together? I really doubt you can do that with no arms. Whatever, moving on. Errol escapes and chases down the monks to learn how to awaken the evil precursors, and gets away with the information before we can stop him. So we telepathically take over a robot in the spaceship, blow up some alien things, then head to a new part of the city that's covered in creepy alien goo, and chase after Errol. Yeah, this is where I kinda started to get a little bit lost. But sadly, Errol gets away once again, and we have to escape before the tower explodes. After that, we learn that something is awakening in the catacombs and we have to head out there to find it. On our way, Deimos saves us and we attack the catacombs together in his car, but not before we flip the car and it kills him. And guess what? He's Jak's father. I know I said I would be pissed if they pulled this off, but not gonna lie, they actually did it in a pretty decent way. Having Deimos ask Jak to tell his son he loved him if he ever found him, and that he would be wearing this amulet if he ever found him, revealing to Jak that he was Deimos' son, and that his true name was Mar. But before Jak can say anything, his father passes away. It's not really clear if Jak is the Mar from history that helped build the city, or if it's just a name passed down through the throne. And it's become a huge argument between the fan base. I personally believe it's just a name passed down, because if not, that means at some point Jak goes back to the past and then helps build the city that he helped save and then disappears randomly. It doesn't really make sense to me, so I'm gonna go with the just name passed down thing. But this sad moment is quickly ruined by Vigor, who walks up and tells you that he kidnapped you as a kid and ripped Deimos from the throne as the Baron of Haven City to let Praxis take over. He then runs off and we have to follow him deep into the catacombs and meet the precursors. But before they bestow upon us the power to become a precursor, Vigor jumps in and says he deserves the power, and then we learn the precursors are Otzels, and Vigor is then turned into one. I guess he got what was coming to him. The precursors help us get to the ship, and we successfully blow it up and make our way out before the ship explodes. Errol still makes it out of the ship though and lands a super alien version of the spider from the Wild Wild West movie in the desert. We quickly blow up its legs and it separates into two parts.
Seriously, what is this thing? The Batmobile mixed with a Transformer? This thing has way too many transformations. Jeez.
Thankfully though, this is the final fight, and after a few shots to the back of the head, Errol is destroyed and everyone lives happily ever after. Except for all the people who died. And Vigor, but the precursors thank Jak and ask him to join them in their crazy space journey to save the galaxy. And Jak, now calling himself Mar, turns down the offer and stays with his friends as everything comes to a happy end. Which is weird, I'm used to this series always leaving things unanswered and not that happy of an ending always coming out. But this time, it ended pretty well. Jak III though, I think, was a huge improvement to Jak II, seeing as I actually enjoyed playing this game. The checkpoints were much more forgiving and I found myself dying halfway through a mission and respawning pretty close to where I died, then thinking, wow, if this was Jak II, I would have had to redo the whole level. It also gives a lot more diversity in its environment than Jak II did. Jak II had way too much dark, brooding destruction with just a few hints of nice green, pretty atmosphere. Jak III had that, but it also had aliens, creepy metalhead areas, and a whole desert place to explore.
When looking at all three games, it's really hard to choose which one was my favorite. Jak II is obviously not it. I hated that game. To be truthful, I thought it was a horrible game. But when it comes down to Jak and Daxter and Jak III, that's where the decision gets hard. I love the first Jak and Daxter's exploration and ability to check out so many different environments with no loading screens. And it had some drop-dead gorgeous views. But on the other hand, Jak III had so many new features that the old games didn't, and it did really well with what it had. It's a hard choice, but I think I'm gonna have to go with Jak and Daxter as my favorite, with Jak III being a very close second. I just want to thank you guys so much for watching this series, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I spent a lot of time and effort working on it, and I really kind of worked my butt off to get these videos out. I know most of them came out late, and thank you for dealing with that. But if you want, post in the comments below what your favorite Jak and Daxter game is and what your thoughts on the trilogy are. And don't forget to also post what next retrospective you'd want me to do. It'll probably be a while before I do another one, but in case I want to do one, I'd like to see what you guys think. But until the next time, I'll see you guys in the next video. I just have to give a huge shout out to my Patreons, and if you guys wish to support me on my Patreon and help me continue to bring you great content, click on the card that's appearing now. But till then, let me give some huge shout outs to Rob LaLiberty, Andre Drulard, Thomas Bethel, Ian Selch, and the YouTubers Save Load, Possum Gamer, Cray Trey, Legend Gary, and After End Media.